In just 1 year, The Billionaire's Wife's Unconditional Love Novel audiobook. Chapter 1: Visit of the Familiar Guests. It was the middle of January and the whole area was covered in thick white snow. Few middle-aged people with their children could be seen roaming on the streets while enjoying the soft white snowfall. Celeste, who was standing by the window, sighed looking at the scene in front of her. She wanted to go out and enjoy the snowfall, but her grandma didn't allow her since they were expecting some important guests to come to their house that day. "I don't think they will be coming today, Grandma. It's already been so late. Don't you think so?" she asked, turning towards the old woman who was leisurely sitting on the sofa with a patient look on her face. She kept the book she was reading aside and took off her thin glasses off her eyes. She wiped it with the corner of the thick brown sweater she was wearing before putting it on again. "Don't worry. They will come, Mariel," the older woman and also Celeste's grandma replied while getting up from the sofa. She sighed looking at her impatient granddaughter. She was always like that, even though she had grown up and turned into a wonderful lady. "But I still couldn't understand why they would choose me as their son's bride. Did they know me from before?" Celeste asked in a soft voice, looking towards her grandmother's direction. She was still in shock, knowing that soon she was going to get married to some unknown guy. It was truly shocking for her fragile heart. 11 days ago, a man and a woman dressed in elegant suits and dress came to their house and talked to her grandma regarding some stuff unknown to her. They asked her a few questions like how old she was, where and what she studied, her future plans, etc. etc. It kinda creeped her out, but she managed to stay calm and answer all of their questions. That year she was going to turn into 24 years. She recently graduated with a degree in economics and was looking for a job while taking care of her old grandma. Her parents died when she was just a child, leaving her in all care of her grandparents. They were her mother's parents. She didn't know about her father's family as he was an orphan. Her parents met each other in their high school days, fell in love and got married. She didn't have any memories of her parents. She was just 4 years old back then. Her grandfather died of heart disease a few years back, and since then it's been only her and her grandma. Because Andrew loves his mother a lot, so he would definitely fulfill her last wish. Your father had saved Rosemary's life once from an accident, so she wanted to repay him in this life by taking care of his daughter. That's why she wished her older grandson to marry you and take care of you for the rest of your life. I do not have many days left to take care of you. So once I leave, I want someone I trust to take care of my darling," Mariel told her granddaughter in an emotional voice, making Celeste a bit upset, but was true though. "Oh Grandma, don't say something like that. You are so strong and healthy that you will live at least 30 years more," Celeste said while hugging her grandma tightly. Mariel chuckled at her antics. All of a sudden they heard a car honk from outside. They immediately understood it was the Rodriguezes. "This is your room, dear. You will live here until the wedding day. You can rest now. We will meet again at the dinner table," Mistress Rodriguez said while showing Celeste a big room which was twice as big as her previous one. She nodded softly while Clarissa smiled before exiting the room. Celeste looked around the room closely. It was a luxurious room with a huge bed, a huge closet, an attached bathroom, a big screen TV and some other furniture. It turned out that Rodriguezes were really rich. She sighed before pulling her luggage aside and seating on the bed. The whole room was painted in white and purple, giving it a warm, colorful vibe. Celeste freed her head from her ponytail and laid down on the bed on her back while her legs were hanging on edge of the bed. In just a span of a few hours her whole life had changed completely. She was brought to Toronto from her beloved Elora to marry some unknown person. Though Elora was only 2 hours' drive away from Toronto, she still felt it was too far. She didn't want to leave her grandmother alone. But it was her grandma who wanted her to marry and live safely for the rest of her life. She was raised as an obedient girl since her childhood, so she couldn't just argue with her grandma and say no. In the end she agreed meekly. She never went out of Elora. It was the first time for her to travel out of that small town of hers. On the present day, when Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez went to bring her here, she didn't know about it until the last moment when her grandma told her to pack her luggage, as she was to be married in 7 days to Liam Rodriguez. She was a bit shocked. She knew she was going to get married but didn't expect it would be so soon. Both Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez were good people, so they comforted her like her own parents. She felt a bit relieved that they weren't snobby as other rich people. They were polite and warm. They didn't make her feel unwanted or low. She was sure they would treat her well. But she didn't know her future husband. It scared her a bit. She didn't know if he was happy with this marriage or not. What if he didn't like her? Sighing, she brushed her thoughts aside and got up to freshen up. It was already getting dark outside. She quickly took out some clothes and went to get changed in the attached bathroom. Welcome to download the Bravonovel app. Read the novel in just 1 year at the Billionaire's Wife's Unconditional Love online and get the latest updates.